All right. Well, it is a True Crime Friday here on the Daily Plus Live. We're going to bring you a closer look at interesting cases across Michigan. And today, we're focusing on the murder of Daniel Hutchinson. He was the owner of Hutch's Jewelry in Oak Park. And now this case has turned into involving several defendants, involving millions of dollars, an alleged for hire plot, and informants for the feds. I want to bring in right now Scott Bernstein, who is a true crime expert. He's a podcaster. He's joined us on the show before talking about the Hoffa case. But Scott, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for joining me on this one.
Thanks for having me.
All right, before we start digging into the details on this and the new defendant that was added into this case, I want to back up a little bit, and I want you to, to tell everyone how you got into true crime podcasting and reporting. What's your background?
I grew up in Bloomfield Hills, West Bloomfield area. Went to college at Indiana University. Went to law school in Chicago. While I was in law school, I had a internship at the Illinois Attorney General's office, and within my internship, I was working like mafia, drug dealer, biker type cases as an intern, and it just fascinated me. And I had a professor in law school that urged me to kind of take a different route. Don't go practice law. Think about going in the reporting, historian, investigative journalism route, authoring. And I started almost 20 years ago, and I've published have six books published, and lots of television and film credit. So I'm blessed.
You know what? And the fascination I think that people have with finding out the detail, a lot of these cases that capture our imagination. What do you think it is in the true crime genre that people just can't really get enough of?
Because it's like everybody loves pop culture, television, and film, and this is like that stuff that you watch on the screens coming to life, becoming multidimensional. Some of it is romanticized. The mafia is very romanticized. Movies like The Godfather was like almost could have been a paid advertisement for the mafia. It was a positive in terms of spreading propaganda to a degree about how romantic it is, when in reality it's as cutthroat and duplicitous. There's not a lot of romance, but it seems romantic. So I think people are just drawn to that, like moss to flames. And when people are living a life that they have no checks, no balances, they can do whatever they want. People are fascinated by that because they can't live their lives like that. And I don't want to say that they admire it, but they want some thread where they can live vicariously through those characters. And then when you're talking about true crime, it's like those characters are coming to life.
Oh, absolutely. And then you get to see the process too, and also the police work. And we know how many, police procedurals that are on television that people love to watch that are fictional. Yeah.
The procedurals that have become such a huge part of television over the last 20 years or 25 years probably, has played a pretty big role as well.
All right, Scott, so we pulled you in on this case and looking at the murder of Daniel Hutchinson. Take us back and walk us through the case before we get to then the new co-defendant that was added. Yeah. So going back to June 1st, 2022, tell us about Hutch the jeweler and why this is such a huge case.
Yeah, Dan Hutchinson was a real beloved figure in certain spaces of Detroit pop culture and high society, hip hop culture. He was a jeweler to the stars. If you were somebody that enjoyed showing off gaudy jewelry, Dan was the guy you went to see. He was a master of his craft. He was someone that attracted a following that reached beyond the borders of Michigan. There were a ton of actors, athletes, and rappers that whenever they came to Detroit, the first place they would go after they left Metro Airport was Hutch the jeweler. So he, over a relatively short period of time, he built a really big reputation for himself, and it wasn't a guy that appeared to have any enemies. Everybody loved Hutch. It was an easygoing guy, someone that always had a smile on his face, and was someone that seemed to get along with everybody. According to prosecutors in Oakland County, the plot to murder him and steal about $5 million from his estate was launched by his attorney and close friend named Marco Bisbicus, who was an attorney is it a Southfield attorney who is the #1 defendant in this case. So Hutchinson and his wife left Bisbicus's office in Southfield around noon on June 1st. They'd had a meeting at that office, and they had gone to a pawn shop that Hutchinson had just purchased. The pawn shop was closed. They were going to meet a contractor there to do some work to get the business back up and running. And according to prosecutors, Bisbicus had hired a hit team, and the hit team was lying in wait. And Bisbicus and had allegedly sent word to the hit team that the Hutchinsons were headed in that direction. And after Dan had gone into the store and met with the contractor, he got into his car with his wife and he was backing out. Someone started to have a conversation with him, and in the next 5 seconds, a reputed hitman rolled up on a motorized scooter, and then loaded an automatic weapon into the car, killed Hutch instantly. Luckily, his wife, who was also targeted in this hit, survived it. According to prosecutors, Bisbicus was looking to steal money from the estate. He had put together a will and trust fraudulently in the months before this. And furthermore, when we're talking about motive, it looks like, based on pre-court hearings or pre-trial hearings in court out of Oak Park in Oakland County, it appears that Dan Hutchinson might have been having some conversations with the DEA, FBI, IRS related to some of his clients and customers, as well as Mr. Bisbicus.
Yeah.
And that appears to have been a motive.
So this is a pretty complicated web that you have just laid out for us right now. And now, adding to the defendant that came out just a couple of weeks ago, who are we looking at now?
So they're right now, before November 10th, I believe, you had Marcos Bisbicus, the #1 defendant, Angelo Ratopoulos, who was an alleged associate of Bisbicus, and then you had the hit team, which was two cousins from the east side of Detroit, Darnell Larry and his cousin Roy Larry. Now, Roy Larry had ties to the Ohio narcotics scene, and on November 10th, I believe, over a year after the initial charges were filed with those four, we have a fifth co-defendant that's coming into the case from Columbus, Ohio. I don't know the details on where he plays in this alleged conspiracy. I know that he has pled not guilty, along with Bisbicus, Raptopoulos, and Roy Larry. At this point, Darnell Larry, who was the contact person for Bisbicus with the hit team, has flipped and is cooperating as the #1 star witness in this case.
So what do you expect to come out in these next couple of months? This case is going to be heading in February?
February. Trial is supposed to begin, I believe, February 23rd.
Okay, and where is that going to be playing out?
In Oakland County. Oakland County Circuit.
So it's going to be playing out in Oakland County. What makes the twist for you on this one when you follow this?
I mean, there's been so many twists and turns really since day one, when I was reporting on this in real time from the late afternoon of when this happened. It's been a roller coaster. Who knows what's going to happen next? I mean, this is a tailor-made for a television or film adaptation. I don't want to smile when I say that, because this is so tragic, but it seems like this is straight out of a screenwriter's room in Hollywood, and it's not shocking that there was a slice of this that plays into Hollywood in the film industry. Bisbicus was an investor in a film starring Terrence Howard and Cuba Gooding Jr. A couple years ago, and had tried to get the Hutchinsons to invest money in that, and that plays a role in some of the backstory here, and then just the fact that Hutchinson was a such a beloved figure. And I just one example of celebrities that would come into town that really just ate up everything that Hutch did in terms of his creating of jewelry was that Rick Ross, who's one of the biggest rappers in the game, a hip hop mogul. His social media feeds would be flooded with shout outs to Hutch and showing off the jewelry that Rick Ross would
Right.
buy whenever we come into Detroit.
Yeah, this is going to be something that people are going to be watching across the country on it. And you know what, Scott, really appreciate your perspective on it because it is complicated and it's involving everything from alleged hitmen to attorneys to the feds. And of course, a lot of money wrapped up all in it. We're going to be speaking to you as this case moves on. It's good to see you. Scott Bernstein,
Thank
true
you.
crime
I'm
expert,
glad I
author,
can
and
help.
journalist. Yeah, it's
I'm
good
glad I
stuff.
can help flesh it out for you guys. And anything more, any more insight you need, just I'm only a call away.
Sounds great. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Chris.